Well, we learned today, once and for all, that Donald Trump is an agent of the Russian government. Wittingly or not, Trump is carrying water for Vladimir Putin and is representing the many interests of Russia, a hostile foreign power. In the wake of President Trump's meeting with the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, the two leaders held a joint press conference where they offered thoughts about their advisor-free, one-on-one meeting, and then fielded questions from reporters. Standing side by side, the President of the United States of America, the so-called leader of the free world, and the murderous, autocratic head of the Russian Federation, which stands as arguably the foremost threat and most hostile actor to liberal world order and democracy worldwide. The pleasantries and mutual admiration these two men publicly share would be enough to turn the stomach of anybody who has even a modicum of knowledge about the unabashed brutality of Vladimir Putin, how he secured his power and wealth. But the fact that our spineless, feckless, and I believe traitorous commander-in-chief withheld any criticism of this man, and most especially of his government's confirmed attacks on the functioning of our democracy, represents a dereliction of presidential duty unlike we have seen before in all of the history of these United States. Trump figuratively bent the knee and surrendered the fight to our aggressor. He was submissive and obsequious, unlike any president in our long and storied history. And in doing so, actively greenlighted further efforts from Russia and others, and there will be others, to attack our democracy, with our enemies understanding that the way to lift all suspicion is to simply attempt to quench the thirst, the insatiable thirst of Trump for validation. Or easier, in Putin's case, when you likely have influence over him, financial or otherwise. Let's take a look at the few of the worst moments in this disastrous conference. We'll start about a minute or so into his opening remarks.
Even during the tensions of the Cold War, when the world looked much different than it does today, the United States and Russia were able to maintain a strong dialogue. But our relationship has never been worse than it is now. However, that changed as of about 4 hours ago. I really believe that. Nothing would be easier politically than to refuse to meet, to refuse to engage, but that would not accomplish anything. As president, I cannot make decisions on foreign policy in a futile effort to appease partisan critics or the media or Democrats who want to do nothing but resist and obstruct. Constructive dialogue between the United States and Russia affords the opportunity to open new pathways toward peace and stability in our world. I would rather take a political risk in pursuit of peace than to risk peace in pursuit of politics.
Setting aside for a moment the completely absurd declaration that our relationship with Russia is worse than it was during the Cold War, when the possibility of escalation into nuclear confrontation was at several times mere moments away from realization. And also the wildly egotistical and unrealistic claim that Trump personally resolved all international conflict with Russia after a brief sit-down with this murderous human rights abusing thug. Trump stated that he would rather take, quote, a political risk in pursuit of peace than risk peace in pursuit of politics, unquote. A line clearly not written by Trump himself. Perhaps no statement has ever been so full of sickly, twisted, and unashamed irony. Not only because Trump wasted virtually no time whatsoever to lambast his critics, the media, and the Democrats who apparently want to do nothing but resist and obstruct. A veritable smorgasbord of political talking points. But also because avoiding this confrontation with Russia's substantiated hacking into our democracy, Trump is waving through cyber warfare and subterfuge against the very institutions that ensure our national integrity. all for the sake of political advantage. There you have the irony.
Mr. President, you tweeted this morning that it's U.S. foolishness, stupidity, and the Mueller probe that is responsible for the decline in U.S. relations with Russia. Do you hold Russia at all accountable for anything in particular? And if so, what would you consider them that they are responsible for?
Yes, I do. I hold both countries responsible. I think that the United States has been foolish. I think we've all been foolish. We should have had this dialogue a long time ago, a long time, frankly, before I got to office. And I think we're all to blame. I think that the United States now has stepped forward along with Russia, and we're getting together, and we have a chance to do some great things, whether it's nuclear proliferation in terms of stopping. We have to do it. Ultimately, that's probably the most important thing that we can be working on. But I do feel that we have both made some mistakes. I think that the probe is a disaster for our country. I think it's kept us apart. It's kept us separated. There was no collusion at all. Everybody knows it. People are being brought out to the fore. So far that I know, virtually none of it related to the campaign. And they're going to have to try really hard to find somebody that did relate to the campaign. That was a clean campaign. I beat Hillary Clinton easily, and frankly, we beat her. And I'm not even saying from the standpoint, we won that race. And it's a shame that there can even be a little bit of a cloud over it. People know that, people understand it, but the main thing, and we discussed this also, is zero collusion. And it has had a negative impact upon the relationship of the two largest nuclear powers in the world. We have 90% of nuclear power between the two countries. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what's going on with the probe.
I'm surprised Trump didn't break a hip, pivoting once again from the question about the substantiated Russian meddling into the election to bragging about his victory. The gravitational pull of his ego, of this odious, pulsating chest pimple of a president, is so exceptional that all questions directed toward him regarding the security of our free and fair elections, he interprets as a personal attack on his legitimacy. And make no mistake, and especially after this conference, the legitimacy of his victory is most certainly worthy of questioning, with a reasonable eye focused on the defense of our democratic institutions. But this question was not about him. Does this speak to his inability to deviate from talking about himself? Or has he realized that the outsized cult of personality that he has established within the Republican Party shields him from any criticism of wrongdoing when he frames these inquiries as personal attacks? It's perhaps a little bit of both, but either way, it is yet another disgraceful display of his utter inability to lead. And lastly, there's this.
Thank you. Question for each president. President Trump, yes. You first. Just now, President Putin denied having anything to do with the election interference in 2016. Every U.S. intelligence agency has concluded that Russia did. My first question for you, sir, is who do you believe? My second question is, would you now, with the whole world watching, tell President Putin, would you denounce what happened in 2016, and would you warn him to never do it again?
So let me just say that we have two thoughts. You have groups that are wondering why the FBI never took the server. Haven't they taken the server? Why was the FBI told to leave the office of the Democratic National Committee? I've been wondering that. I've been asking that for months and months, and I've been tweeting it out and calling it out on social media. Where is the server? I want to know, where is the server, and what is the server saying? With that being said, all I can do is ask the question. My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be, but I really do want to see the server. But I have confidence in both parties. I really believe that this will probably go on for a while, but I don't think it can go on without finding out what happened to the server. What happened to the servers of the Pakistani gentlemen that worked on the DNC? Where are those servers? They're missing. Where are they? What happened to Hillary Clinton's emails? 33,000 emails gone, just gone. I think in Russia they wouldn't be gone so easily. I think it's a disgrace that we can't get Hillary Clinton's 33,000 emails. So I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today. And what he did is an incredible offer. He offered to have the people working on the case come and work with their investigators with respect to the 12 people. I think that's an incredible offer.
Again, Trump pivots. Again, he refuses to directly answer the question. Again, he turns this inquiry about U.S. national security to whip the lingering effigy of Hillary Clinton. A useful effigy that he himself will not allow to fade. Right before his praise of Putin's extremely strong and powerful denial. What Trump didn't state explicitly, but clearly implied, is that he does not believe the hard-working, patriotic, career intelligence officials in the United States who have dedicated their lives to keeping us safe from the very threats Putin's Russia poses. He believes Vladimir Putin, a man who murders political opponents, journalists, and has labored to disrupt Western relationships and alliances more than any other person in all of the 21st century. If you take nothing else from this video, remember that Trump trusts a Russian autocrat thug more than his countrymen and women in matters of U.S. national security. And for that, we absolutely, unequivocally must remove him from office. He is unfit, unacceptable, and intolerable. He is an agent of the Russian government. Please vote in November.